I did get the Unicorn on day one, and I
You
know some
did.
of my yeah, I did, and just one, and I think some of my team members grabbed the one or two as well.
So you have a private island?
Yeah,
You have a
and a
private
volcano
island. That's a fact.
with, with the volcano. No, I mean, of course I'm bullshitting. There's no private island.
I
I
mean, it
wouldn't want
might
to live.
be. I don't know, man.
I
Listen,
wouldn't want
I
to
had
live
this
on a private
speculation in my
island. It would be
head.
too boring.
I had this speculation in my head that, man, I said, what if Jack got a whole bunch of Google shares? Like, I should make it like crypto guys. I don't know if it's just crypto guys, but I'll speak for myself. Like, I'll look for a storyline anywhere in my mind to like why something is going a certain way, you know. And I think a lot of people are like looking for that storyline. That's what probably attracts people to you, actually.
Well, I mean, you mean besides me being a janitor?
Were you really the janitor? Like, I looked at after you posted that tweet. I said, let me go look at his Twitter profile, see what it says. And it says, what did it say? Let me go look real quick.
Back end.
Yeah, back end. First Google back end architect. Let me see if I can do it right. Let's see. There we go. First Google back end architect. I'm like, man, this is the back end for a toilet?
Yeah, I changed it. I changed it to be in line with the current narrative.
The current narrative, first Google backend. So what does a backend architect do at Google at the beginning, in the beginning
A
days?
backend is all of the server stuff. So that's what's called there's a front end, which is the user facing interface, which would be Google search, but the backend is everything that happens behind it. So the web page, obviously, for Google is very, very simple. It's just the search bar plus the search button. But the backend always been massive. And so the backend architecture is something that runs the engine. And so in this particular context, besides the joke of being a janitor, the backend implies the engine of the company.
I think that's what people are trying to. I think people are trying to gauge, like, for lack of a better terms, how smart you are. I think people are trying to gauge: is this guy really? Is he just like pulling our leg? I mean, if you're building the engine of a car, I don't want to put you up too high on a pedestal, but.
No, but by all means, go ahead.
Good one. I don't want to put you too high on a pedestal, but putting together the back end for Google seems like a pretty daunting task. Is that something that anybody could do? Or or were you like did they have to call you from across the planet? This one guy?
The first 2 years, I was sleeping with a pager taped to my head because anything that goes wrong, I had to go and fix it. Mm-hmm. Whether it's a remote work or I had to go to the data center and fix it. And so there was a lot of technologies at Google that was not common type of technologies because we were using Linux, which is the open source operating system. And it wasn't very popular back in 2000 or 99. It was just beginning. And so a lot of it was just like a flying machine with the wings that are continuously being designed in flight, if you will. So that was, I would say, pretty hard. But because Google was tiny, I felt like it was just a giant sandbox that I could do whatever possible and do all kinds of experiments and actually discover what would work. And those type of discoveries actually ended up being successful. The difficult part was that there was no test net, so to speak, at Google. It was always live. So anything that I would do, any new architecture designs had to be done in
midair,
in flight.
Yeah,
in flight. And many times I brought Google down by making mistakes and learning how to do this properly. But I was 25 years old and Google was an relatively unknown search engine. It was important, obviously, to the people in the company. But they're like, Jack, did you break it again? I'm like, sorry, yeah, I guess I did.
So was it like hardware stuff or software? or
All
both?
of it. So I had the first week at Google, Larry Page comes over and he says, "Hey Jack, you need to go to the data center." I'm like, "Okay, what's up?" He's like, "Hey, there's a truck with 2,000 servers. You need to install them because we're going live with Netscape, and Netscape used to be hot back then. We're going live with Netscape, and if we don't get all those 2,000 servers installed and ready and operational, we will not be able to sustain their traffic because their traffic is like 100 times larger than Google's." I'm like, "Okay, well, I guess no pressure." So I come to the data center. The truck comes, unloads the servers, and those servers are on cabinets, and those cabinets have wheels, and they roll them in. So there was a lot of the unloading crew positions them, and I'm like, okay, so I have this 2,000 servers. They're not installed. I technically don't really know what to do with them because my task was to get them online, get them accessible, and then have the development team deploy the search engine. So they had 48 hours to get it up, and everything was preempted on me. So I had to get them up first. And when you have 2,000 servers, like imagine installing Windows on 2,000 servers one
I
by
can't.
one.
I
That's
can't.
that's that's not possible,
Yeah.
right? Even if you go with Linux, it's not possible. So I had to do. I had to develop a system where they all install at the same time, and a lot of them were broken on delivery. So I had to find everything that was wrong with them within 24 hours. I don't think I left the data center for 24 hours or like 30 hours because I would just keep installing them. But I was able to install them, and we went live, and we plugged in Netscape. Uh, we
That's
turned
what's
it
up.
on, and it started to work, and Google became kind of like a point on the map right there because all of the search from Netscape portal was coming to Google. And then was Yahoo. It was very, very similar. But for Yahoo, we had to deliver a new data center, and I was the only guy doing it. And that new data center, which was a different building, it was maybe 5,000 servers or maybe 6,000. And I'm like, "Hey guys, I need volunteers because I can't physically actually get it done. So come to the data center." So we have a picture actually with uh, Larry, Sergey, myself, VP of engineering, and 5 or 6 volunteers. And one of those guys invented Gmail,
Hmm.
Paul Bukai. He was there helping us. So this whole core crew was in the data center, and I was telling them technically where to plug cables in and what to power on. So they were following my architecture design to get everything up. And the VP of engineering at Google, he kept saying, he's like, "Dude, I can't believe it's working. Like, totally did not expect it even to come up at all, just because it's so complex and so new." And by the way, it's not just the servers. There's also networking equipment that's also new. It wasn't Cisco. It was something called Foundry, and Foundry was this new company that delivered networking equipment that was 6 months old. Nobody was using it, but Larry Page was adamant that we don't use Cisco because he wanted to get something cheaper and something faster, more experimental. I'm like, okay, that's awesome. I like experiments, so let's just do it. And that thing barely worked. When it worked, it worked, but most of the time it had a lot of issues. And I was talking to those guys, was on the phone with them all the time. There was a crew from the networking company coming in. So it wasn't just the servers, it wasn't just the software, it was just a lot of also networking gear, which was that I had to learn from the company within a day before launch, which is kind of interesting. So I became a specialist in this networking gear too, which was an unexpected bonus. So that was kind of the first 6, 7 months at Google, where just rapid growth, data centers popping up everywhere, and I was the only one flying around the country and installing it. And then 2 years later, finally they decided. Oh, there was this funny thing. They said, "Hey, I came to I guess to the management back in the time, and I said, hey, I'm kind of tired a little bit because it's been 2 years and I'm just doing everything in the network cages and co-location facilities." And the response was really funny. They're like, "Well, why do you need help? Everything's working."
Mm.
And I said, "Well, everything's working. It's because I'm working 16-hour, 18-hour days. That's why it's working, because I have to make sure it does work. And they're like, oh, okay, so we're sorry, we weren't really paying attention. We were just optimizing search, but everything seemed to be working on the hardware side. So they didn't feel like I needed help. But I got help within this first year too. Obviously, there were 2 guys hired, and they were great help. And that was the beginning of my team. So my team grew to 200 people, I think. At the end, it was also international, so we had a lot of engineers.
So you were the
in
head of
Ireland.
all those? You were head of 200 people? Or you just
Yeah,
were just equal?
I guess you could say that,
No,
because
no. Don't fluff it. Don't fluff it.
don't fluff it.
So
I'm
you
trying
was,
not to fluff it.
yeah. It's like as I say, man. We will put somebody on a pedestal. You know, Richard Hart. You know, like we'll put
Yeah.
somebody up there. So, but I'm
Well,
trying to calm. I'm trying to keep that. I'm trying to keep that yin and yang. You know, I'm trying to keep that balance.
Me too. Me too. That's why I'm trying to introduce my greatness slowly.
So okay. So what happened? So you were at Google for how many years?
6 years.
6. So did you just decide you had enough, or was there a fallout, or what happened?
I just decided that it's running like a well-oiled machine, and the startup feel was no longer there, and I just wanted to run my own thing. So I just said my goodbyes to Larry and Sergey, and I said, hey, if you guys need me, I'll definitely come over and say hi and, have lunch with you. But I wanted to start my own company. And obviously, after the Google's IPO, I had the means to do it. And so I went and I founded ImageShack. And by the way, ImageShack.com right now is number 170 in the world, ranked.
As far as like total website traffic?
The total number of websites in the world is about 2 billion. We're number 170 by users, by links that are everywhere in the world, and just the overall reach. So that's a good position to be in. And I think if you're ever interested in doing research, Moz stats, so MOZ stats, they show top 500 websites in the world. And if you look at the ranking, I think we're above times.com, we're above Yahoo Canada, various other mega names.
What about Alexa?
Higher. Alexa is toast. Alexa hasn't been functional for a long time.
Oh, really? I haven't looked at it in a long time.
On Alexa.com, we were number 11.
Oh, nice.
So number 11 is a good number too, because well, back then there weren't that many websites, but being 11 is incredible.
Yeah, it is.
So, but still, even now, 170 in the world, ranked by an independent company, is pretty significant.
Nice.
So yeah. But anyway, back to.
So I would say it's good to say it's safe to say that you can make something go viral around the world, using ImageShack as an example.
ImageShack as an example definitely was a very successful venture. It went viral the first day. I mean, first few months, it just became one of the most popular sites in the world, across the world, and it still is. But the thing that came after ImageShack was Twitter guys. They were building Twitter, and I knew them from Google because a lot of them were coming from Google, founders specifically. So Evan Williams, for example, came from Google because we acquired his company, blogger.com. And he went to start another startup called Odeo. And Odeo was an MP3/podcasting system that didn't really fly. And then Jack Dorsey, one of their engineers, came up with Twitter, and they ran with it. And it became very successful as a platform from very beginning. And so what they needed help with image storage and image delivery. So we were the first backend for Twitter to deliver images to the world. So any images that you upload now obviously goes to Twitter's infrastructure. But for 2 years, in 2007 to 2009, we were running Twitter images.
Because I remember my early days on Twitter. I was on Twitter in like 2009. I wish I would have stuck with it a lot harder and kept my accounts and stuff. But I think I remember ImageShack being part of it. But that was the tail end. And I remember they had the TwitPic was after that.
Yeah, TwitPic was the competitor. Yfrog.com, so the letter Y, like yellow frog, yfrog.com was the backend for Twitter images. And that project was so successful. We actually made more money with yfrog.com in the first year, more money than we did with ImageShack in 5 years. It was actually that impactful. So that was super successful and super fun, and also tested our capability as a backend engineering team. And actually, it was our first business to business endeavor. So it wasn't the business to consumer like ImageShack.com. So yfrog.com was B2B, which was very different and very difficult. And yet it somehow worked. But the way that it worked, which was very, very interesting. So Twitter did not have any sort of mobile apps that they owned. And they just had the API for the mobile app creators to develop their own. And so what we did, which I think was very good, we called and reached out to all of the developers. And we told them that, hey, integrate our image storage and we will pay you to do it. And so they thought, wait a second, usually we pay, and now you guys want to pay us to give us more functionality? Of course we'll do it. And so they did it. And overnight, the major Twitter client mobile apps integrated yfrog.com as image storage. And obviously mobile images was a really hot thing back in the day. And within 3 days to a week, we became the dominant force for image tweeting, because we had every Twitter app using yfrog.com. So we became the dominant force in the backend system for image views for Twitter, which is really great.
Well, it's safe to say you know what you're doing.
Nothing is ever safe to say.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
But let's just say that I never been retired. That's safe to say.
Okay. That's good.
So, and I didn't need to work after Google.
All right, I want to press you something. This ain't really pressing, but people keep pressing me about it. It's your Twitter followers. Why do you have? Because we're talking about Twitter. Why does it seem like your Twitter followers are fake, basically?
Oh, that's obvious.
Because they are?
No, they're not. They're not fake. I mean, they could have become fake over time. I mean,
right. Yeah.
But what happened is that I actually have 3 or 4 Twitter accounts.
Really?
And they're all related to different businesses that I ran. So if you go to Twitter and you type in ImageShack, you're gonna see an ImageShack's Twitter account that I also own that has 400,000 people on it. Now I'm not tweeting from it because ImageShack is kind of like, on the back burner right now, but still functional. And so over time, that one. So that's mine too.
Followed by Jack.
Yeah. Now, where all those people are coming from? Well, they're coming from the fact that I've been in the industry of creating viral products for, I guess, the last 20 years. And I was one of the earlier people on Twitter. And so those people are old. They've been coming in year after year after year after year. They've all been following me. And, sometimes I make a tweet or a chirp or whatever, or I do something with, the technology, and people just follow me. But I haven't been on Twitter for a while, for like 3 or 4 years.
So basically, the old followers are inactive. That's the answer.
Potentially.
Most likely.
I don't even know how to tell if they're active or not. I mean, I do know that when I tweeted, there were some responses originally, but they've been just accumulated by my account over many years.
Yeah.
So that's why they look like they're fake or they've been bought. But they're not. I wouldn't do that. I mean, I don't buy anything. I don't buy clout.
Right. I'll get back to the Zen, man. That was some good information though. That's good insight to your previous careers.